The word cult is a pretty loaded term, and I think it might actually be a bit overused. When a word like that is overused, it tends to lose its impact a little bit. Cult status should be reserved for only the worst of the worst, in my opinion. Now, I realize that the argument can be made that the emotional manipulation used by many religions could be considered tantamount to coercion, and in some respects a cult.
You don't want to go to hell, do you? You have to make sure you always believe in Mufasa. And then you'll go to kitty heaven because we love you so much and we wouldn't want anything bad to happen to you. No, no.
I also realize that many religions and many sects have more fundamentalist elements within them that would qualify as a cult under my definition. I can already read the comments from viewers in my head about why am I not including Islam as a cult because it says in the Quran that people that leave the religion should be killed. If that were really in practice anywhere outside of the fundamentalist groups, then I would include it. Taking the most insane practitioners of a religion and holding them up as the standard is fun, I'll admit, but it's not really fair. There's plenty to talk about without invoking that rhetorical trick. So let's talk about some practices that are common among various religions or branches of religions, and see if they qualify for cult status. So let's talk about sex first, because I know you want to. A lot of these breakaway religious organizations, like for instance the fundamentalist Mormon sect led by Warren Jeffs, which I should point out was never sanctioned by the mainline Mormon church, have a lot of, shall we say, interesting ideas about sex. Child brides, anyone? Any church where the leader of the church gets to decide who has sex with whom is a cult in my eyes. Interesting also how in these churches that the leader seems to end up with a lot of the women, isn't it? Quite an amazing coincidence, I'd say. Wow, I wish I'd thought of that in high school. Oh, did I just say that out loud? I was just kidding. So, what about bizarre dogma in general? Does merely having dogma that most people would consider bizarre constitute a cult? Well, there are lots of churches that have some strange traditions that those outside the church would consider to be very strange indeed. Actually, you could extend that to lots of other organizations outside of churches if you wanted to, whether you're talking about various types of funny hats, failed ideologies, failed organizations of any type, really. Anyone with a set of unifying thoughts or goals could qualify. I just don't think having strange ideas alone is enough to consider a religion to be a cult. It just makes them strange. So what about money? Ah, yes, the almighty greenback, corrupter of people and their ideals. Any religion that is set up so that giving them more money will lead to religious favors would be one of the hallmarks of a cult in my eyes. Catholics actually used to do this back in the Middle Ages, though they've long since stopped. But guess who still does it to this day? Scientologists do. I've read that Scientologists pay ridiculous sums of money to get rid of their thetans, which are supposed to be the little invisible things that cause people physical and emotional distress. Oh, and just in case any Scientologists are watching this, since I know your church enjoys suing people, let me just say that this is strictly my opinion. I do, however, think that your religion is a cult. Although I do find it amusing when you offer me free personality tests, so please feel free to continue that practice. Thank you. So what about going door to door? Proselytizing is a fact of life for many churches, and while it is incredibly obnoxious to get that knock at your door during dinner, I don't think that's enough to really qualify a religion for being a cult. I do always want to ask the Mormons if they're wearing their Mormon underwear, but I need to be able to do it with a straight face, and I don't think I'm capable of that. So proselytizing alone, even door to door, is not enough for me to brand a religion a cult. That brings us to the fifth and final category, and that is shunning. Any religion where a part of the dogma is encouraging your members to never again speak to those that willingly leave the church definitely qualifies for cult status. It is one of the most inhuman acts I can think of, and guess who does this? Jehovah's Witnesses. Congratulations on your dubious distinction of passing the cult litmus test, witnesses. This is why every time they come to my door I tell them that it's an awful policy, and politely tell them that I think that they're peddling nonsense. I said good day, sir. I also want to hear what you think. Leave comments about what you think about cults and which religions you think fall into that category and why. Oh, and one more thing. If you live in the DC area and you're interested in acting out a skit for one of my videos, please send me a PM. I can make it worth your while, and I need 2 or 3 people to make this happen. So, until next time, always be thinking.
Oh boy,